Our next speaker, Dulce Pinzón, as Amy has already shown you a slide of, has her work up in the museum, and she's going to talk to us in the beginning of her talk just a little more broadly about her work, and then zero in a little bit more on the specific series, The Real Story of Superheroes. And again, one of the pictures from that series is on view in the museum. So we hope you go up and see that work. We also hope that you come by and say hello to Dulce in person. Very quickly, again, just to tell you how it's going to work in the second half, we're going to finish the presentations. Just bear with us for a couple minutes. We'll bring the table and chairs out for all the speakers, and then I will have a microphone that I'll be going around with for the Q&A. So if you have a question, Dr. Galpin will call on you, and then just give me a second to come over and give you the microphone. We not only want everyone here to clearly hear what you're saying, but we also are recording today's event, and we want your question to show up on the video as well. Right now, please put your hands together and welcome to the stage artist Dulce Pinzón.
Thank you very much to the Museum of San Diego for having me here. Thank you very much, Alexander, and all the wonderful team of the museum that brought me here. I am very excited. I'm a little bit nervous. And for being here, and I'm gonna be sharing my work. For some of you that don't know the series, because there's only one image presented at the exhibition, I am going to show you the whole series before I start talking about the whole process. This is Minerva, the picture that is up there at the gallery. This is the thing, Flash, Aquaman, Batman, I call it Fat Man, the Hulk, Wonder Woman, Robin, Chapulín Colorado, that this is a Mexican superhero, Mr. Elastic or Mr. Elastic Man, Green Lantern, Human Torch, Superman, Spidey, Captain America, Fantastic Twins, Harvey Birdman. I want to start by saying that these series were made from 2005 to 2010. I am originally from Mexico City, but while I was studying college, I was studying mass media communication. I wanted to move away from the city. I was growing up in Puebla, Mexico. I am a middle-class woman that was growing up in a very strict family, and I wanted to go away from that. And then I applied for an exchange program, and then I was accepted. Originally, I wanted to go to England, but I was accepted at Pennsylvania University, to Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Once I was there, I was very, very excited and drawn by the methodology of teaching photography in the university, very different from Mexico. And I went to visit New York because I wanted to study at ICP, International Center of Photography. And at that moment when I was in the middle of Times Square, I knew that I was gonna come back and live there for a while. I moved in the next year, and I spent 15 years living in New York. When I first arrived to New York, I was 19, and I just had one luggage, and I sent, and there was no internet yet. I sent a telegraph to my friend who was working in McDonald's and told her, hey, I'm coming to visit you next Monday. Will you be there? She never answered. So I just took a plane, took a taxi, and then went to live to the South Bronx. My surprise was that in 1995, the South Bronx was very, very, still very dangerous. And the taxi driver, I didn't tip him, I didn't know about that. He just put my bags outside and told me put out of the car. So I was in the middle of a snowstorm looking for my friend. So I finally got to see her, and then she said, okay, well, you can come and live here with me. The following morning, I start seeing 13 men running to the bathroom to take a shower to go to work. And for me, it was very surprising to the realization that I was living with 13 immigrant workers. Yes, I said I wanted to work because I realized ICP was very expensive, so I took a job as a waitress. They fired me the same day. Then I went to work as a nanny, and but I was very proud to take all these service jobs because I wasn't really an immigrant worker. I wanted to study, so that realization was very humbling to see all these people, my community that I never saw when I was in Mexico, to work so hard and under these terrible conditions. So this is the first time I took my camera for real, and I started photographing these people in different settings, in the subway, just photographing them everywhere. I didn't really know what I was doing or intended. I have to say that I come from the school of documentary photography, Mexico. Photography, black and white, very straightforward documentary photography was very important, and it was a big influence. But I wanted to somehow get a distance from that point of view because I knew that, and I knew that was the way that photography was always presented, and I was very drawn to color photography, not to black and white photography. Some way I was very rebellious. I wanted to change things, and then I started photographing, and my visa ran out, and then I had to start going back and forth every 6 months in order to go back, and then is when things started to get very hard for me. Then I'm gonna forward 3 years. I got married. My husband, through my husband, I was able to get my green card, and things changed for me. Then I was able to work at the United Nations. I was producing radio for the Latin America part of the United Nations. But 6 months after, I realized this is not what I want to do. I want to work with the community. I want to do something meaningful for them, and I start getting more and more active politically. And then I start working in a campaign, in a greengrocer campaign with Elliot Spitzer, and trying to unionize a sector of the Mexican population, specifically the workers of the greengrocers, and that's when the superheroes started. I also study, besides photography, I also study labor, union labor, and then I was hired to unionize workers. The first picture I'm going to show you, I was a union organizer, and then I was also a teacher in a community school called Casa Mexico. And then I started working very closely with the Mexican community and start realizing their necessities, and start realizing that I needed, as a photographer, to raise my voice and help somehow to show how hard it was. So in this first image, we have two of the later superheroes in my series. We have the guy in the gray gap is Hulk, and the tallest guy is Green Lantern. So that's how I started meeting all the people that later were going to be the subjects of my series. I'm showing you pictures behind the scenes because through the years I thought that, and I learned that it was more interesting to show how a project, all the things that go behind the process of having a series. Sometimes it's more revealing and more interesting than the actual images. I don't have images from the very beginning. Like my first image was Chapulín Colorado, and my second one was this one. This is Mari, a woman that worked in this laundromat in Brooklyn, my city, my community. All the pictures were taken in Brooklyn, New York. There's always a very funny story behind every character. We start becoming friends when I visit this laundry once a week, and she started asking me a lot of questions like, can you bring me antibiotics? Can you help me get a visa? so many different questions. One time she asked me, "Can you bring my daughter?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." So I thought her life as a grandmother, having crossing the border 3 times through the desert was extremely important to be told. And one time I asked her, would you like to participate in a project I'm shooting? And she was like, okay, cool. I said, it's gonna take only about 30 minutes, but you have to, you have to dress as Wonder Woman. And she was like, okay, but we have to do it when the owner is not here. So basically we shot this picture within 30 minutes. This picture, it's Spider-Man. Even though this is the suit that inspired the whole concept behind the superheroes, was one of the latest images I shoot. It was extremely hard for me. It was very difficult to get permits from the city, rent a crane in order for me to lift to that building, until I met Bernabe. Bernabe is a professional window cleaner. He is an undocumented worker, but he still does this very dangerous work. And he told me, okay, why, instead of going through all this process and very expensive, why don't you just hang from a harness? And I was like, okay, $5,000, hang. Okay, I'll hang. So this is me and Bernabe putting the harness around me, and also a rubber band around my glasses, waiting for the proper lighting conditions. I have to say, this is the first time I spent more than 30 minutes doing a shot. This is the first time I relaxed and was able to wait for the light. Also, I have to say that this project was shot with for photographer fans with a Mamiya 7.2, a medium format camera, with 12 exposures per roll, so it was extremely difficult to get to communicate people in order to get them to feel naturally, but also people always people that are not familiar with photography think that when you said I'm going to take your picture, you're just going to go and take one picture. They don't understand the nature of taking roll after roll and then changing film. It's extremely difficult. Also, the conditions of the lighting with analog photography under these conditions, because these people are terribly afraid of their bosses, was very challenging for me. This is at the time of the shooting. This guy in the hat is the owner of the apartment. 3 years before, I have approached him and asked him if he would let me use his apartment to do the shot, and he basically told me no. In 2006, the New York Times published my images in the front page of the Metro section, and that publication opened so many doors for my project that not only gave me credibility, but also gave me some grants to keep shooting. When I came back 3 years later, and I asked him, would you let me shoot my image here? He was like, of course, sure, do it. Well, you give me a print. And he even made cookies for us after the show. This is the image. You can see the harness on Bernabe, and I'm on the other side on a ladder. I wanted to keep this project with this sense of satire. I wanted to not be perfect. There's no Photoshop involved in any of the images, and I wanted to keep certain details that remain sort of like mistakes, like, for example, the tape on Bernabe's shoes, or the suits sometimes fit funny on the subjects, and I wanted to keep that. I wanted to make them real. I mean, these people don't dress like that to go to work. I wanted to emphasize that this is something that I made up, and what I wanted really to get across was the fact that these people work. They have real names, just as superheroes do in real life. And also, I wanted to emphasize how much money they send to their communities and what type of work they do. That's the real clue of what the relevance of this project has been having through the years, because it's not only the me shooting undocumented workers wearing or grabbing funny suits. It is the fact that they're real and they really send money, and their contribution to society and the economic part of the society, it's very strong. And also their communities rely on the money they send every week, monthly, or yearly. This is the thing. Many years have passed, and I wanted to do the thing, but also I encountered the difficulties of asking permits to the city. So I went to this torteria to have a sandwich, and then I saw these men with their construction tools, and I asked them if they will pose for me. They have seen the project in a TV show, in a Latino TV show, and they recognized me and said, of course, let's do it. So we did a shot. This guy called his friends. They even let us the truck. And we have the picture. All my images were shots with the contribution of my best friends. There's nothing fancy about the production. It was basically me, my camera, my light, and one other friend to help me, like we can see here. This was intended to be shot in a courthouse in Long Island City and New York. They threw us out, they kick us out. Then we tried the subway again. And then I ended up doing this image, which for me was very important to show the 7 train, because that train brings the whole mass of immigrants that live in Queens to the city to work every morning. So I wanted that 7 train to be in the picture. And also, I wanted this guy to be in the picture because he has been a clue guy during the campaign times with the greengrocers. And he's a black Taekwondo master. And he was the one that was kind of like the muscle behind we call it piquetero, the person that gives away flyers. And when we did the campaigns, he was the muscle behind. When sometimes the Koreans and the Mexicans will get into a fight, he'll be the guy that defend the Mexican side. So this is the Fantastic Twins. All the suits were bought through Amazon. Some of them were bought in Mexico, but the majority of them were made in Mexico. I will send the measurements to my mom, and she will buy the lycra, she will buy the fabrics, and then a woman will make every one of them, even including the suit for the little monkey, who I rented to tame animals in North Carolina. These are Wonder Woman's son and daughter, who just crossed the border a couple of months before, and then they were perfect. They were twins. This is the day of the shooting, even with the monkey. Charlotte is the name of the monkey. I rented a restaurant in Park Avenue. I already have money from the Ford Foundation, so it was nice to have time to invite all my friends that were part of the project, and invite them a nice dinner on Oscars night, and have to shot this image with the monkey. And this is the actual shot. This is Captain America. I asked my friend Ricky to come after going to a club, to just come. No, don't take a shower. Just come, and you're gonna get arrested. He was so happy to be able to be arrested by a Puerto Rican, a Boricua, we call it. The project, through all these years, has gone to so many, many different places. It has also been part of commercial campaigns, as this one I did for Money Eye Solution, where I created 2 characters with the same lighting conditions, with the same sort of nature that the superheroes were created, and utilize the same tricks as I did in Superman, you know, the cape with threads and using the air. To create this campaign. This is the article I told you before, the New York Times. This article almost gets Superman fired because he was already being recognized in the neighborhood, and then some people will cheer for him, but the owner of the pizzeria where he worked, he wanted to fire him because he was undocumented. He already knew, but you know, it was in the New York Times. This project has been in about 100 collective shows and about 50 solo shows around the world. It's been seen by public of all ages. For me, this is very important to show this work in a different context, as public schools, parks, in order to create a sense of reflection and interaction with the community. It has been also been awarded among the creators of the superheroes in a show in 2006 in the Montclair Art Museum. I tried to invite the characters, the workers, to the exhibitions, to give also talks, to get more involved and have their experience share through all these years of celebrity. These are the real suits. They have to customize the mannequins. They have to put extra layers of fabric in order to make my suit, because the suits are a little bigger. A lot of these images are sent to me by people, because obviously I'm not able to go everywhere. So a lot of the images you're seeing are sent by people that seen my work and that know that I collect these images. The work was also part of the collection, the permanent collection of the museum. I am the first, not only woman but Latino woman that ever been a part of a show in the museum and also have a work in the permanent collection. It has been in many different fairs. In different countries as Uruguay, Argentina, Canada, Australia. They have asked me to do funny things. I have given workshops and talks, and Wonder Woman has been with me in many different places. I've been interviewed, won some prizes, have bring my kids along. This is an aperture. It has been part of festivals like this one called Make Art Public. It's a festival in Canada where it takes art to the streets. It usually plays art in billboards that are no longer in use or in bus stops. And when I was visiting Montreal, I ran into my picture. It was nice. This project is right now in LA, but it has been also in many different cities around the world, like China, Colombia. It has also been a chocolate. Compiled in many books, and also being at Arles Festival. This is pictures at the entrance of the Paris subway. At the Fnac stores, all around France. This is Honduras, and people that go to my shows, very enthusiastic of superheroes that send me their images. Like this guy called Monsieur Bouton that travels all around the world, visiting museums and taking his picture in front of his favorite pieces of the exhibition. It's been in a comic book. It was also part of, this is Al Jaira on Sotheby's. And this is the first time that my actual series come back to Brooklyn. It's hometown. It has never been presented in Brooklyn until this year, where I was part of a show by 5 photographers that use superheroes as a theme, and the pictures were placed on the fences around the Brooklyn Bridge. It also represented Mexico in the Pinjao International Photography Festival last year. It was very interesting to see the Chinese public relate to my work and their acceptance and their understanding on this phenomenon that is also something that they live very closely. It was 2 weeks ago in Miami. It has also been part of many different reinterpretations. I have found my work being used for different campaigns. I found this work in the internet where a guy reinterpreted my picture and then make a painting out of it and then start selling them commercially. We start getting into a legal fight, but at the end, I just told him, okay, just put that your work was inspired by my picture, and a lot of people start commenting through the internet saying if this was art, no art, interpretation, no interpretation. That was very interesting for me to learn how a project has that capacity of traveling beyond and getting people to start doing their own interpretation of my work. I don't know if you can read, but I was also put in Wikipedia. One time I Googled my name and then I found myself in Wikipedia. That was very funny. then the woman that put me in Wikipedia emailed me, and I was very happy to get these kind of emails. I have a whole collection of them. I have like around 1,000 emails of people telling me their reflection and also their feelings about my work. I put some of here. Can you read? It's hard. For example, this one. Isn't it nice? Or this one. Can you read? It's hard. Then they became a calendar. Part of the Ford Foundation grant, the fellowship, was to make a project to get back to the community some sort of like benefit. So I thought to make a run of 1,000 calendars and sell them and give all the procedures from the sales of these calendars to an organization very close to the object of my work called NICE, New Immigrant Community Empowerment. The calendars were printed in Mexico because I was already pregnant on my first kid, so I came back to live to Mexico. The whole process was very exhausting. And I started learning how difficult and challenging was a process of printing a work massively. The launching of the calendar was in 2009 in New York, and I invited the majority of the superheroes. They came and signed calendars. It is a very nice feeling to know and learn how these people came from being anonymous to being empowered by a project that once I had in my mind and has lived all these years and has me here today. I wanted also to print a book to close the whole superhero project. And then I was very lucky to have a wonderful editorial. And I wanted to take a picture of myself as a way of gratitude to all the people that contributed to the project. So I set myself as Invisible Woman in a sweatshop in Mexico. You can say in the back it says acabado, which means end, finished. And the book, it's now a reality. For me, it was very important to compile these images in something that it was touchable. You know, sometimes the prints and the work travel are around, but not a lot of people have access to it economically and also physically. So I thought a book, it was a wonderful way to put all my pictures together and have another life. The book is here at the bookstore. And also I have some limited edition postcards that I put right at the back. If you want to take it, I want to take them, please feel free. I have won an Oscar in my hometown, Puebla, where I come back to live now. And keep giving talks even with my baby in arms. And Stella McCarthy has also my book. And with this, I end my presentation. Thank you very much.